Everyone knows how to talk, but only a gifted few know how to truly listen. To really listen, you need more than just your ears. Studies show that communication is 10% words, 30% tone of voice, and 60% body language. Therefore, it's not possible to really listen using just your ears. When we give our full attention to those with whom we are speaking, we really need to use our ears, our eyes, and our heart. We need all of these to be effective listeners. Usually people are so busy thinking of their own responses to what the other is saying that they don't really listen to what is being said. To have a meaningful discussion, we need to be honest and clear, keep an open mind and a willing heart. To master the art of listening, we need to realize the difference between listening and hearing. Listen with your whole self. Forget about you for a short while and show an interest. There's so much to learn from other people, and everybody has a story. Reflect back on what others say. Comment on it. It makes them feel heard. All too often we bring it back to ourselves. Let people feel it's all about them for a moment. Be present and stay focused. Stay with the other person's talk. It's obvious when the listener is simply thinking about their next comment. In the simple act of listening, you can reveal much to someone else. So, what if we all just listened more?
A very good evening to you and welcome to the all-new Finding Answers. I hope you liked our new intro for the program, and many things will change, but some things will remain the same, mainly our intention to help you discover how through the power of faith, great things can be achieved by you. You can overcome problems. You can actually see the miraculous take place in your life if you learn how to connect with God through this great power, this great gift that's already inside you called faith. Our topic tonight is, why do we really have to listen? Listening is a virtue. Unfortunately, many times people are not paying attention to this very important part of the communication. I don't think it's a coincidence God created us with one mouth, only one mouth, but two ears. Speaking is very important, but listening too. And we have someone who is here with us tonight, our live guest. His name is Joseph. Good evening, Joseph.
Hi, good evening.
Welcome to Finding Answers.
Thank you very much.
You got into some serious trouble and had serious setbacks for not being able to listen. Is that right?
Yeah, very much so. There was a lot of issues that were caused just by, as you said, not listening to the practical advice that would actually help me go to the next level in my life. And it just took a big toll on me.
Yes. So we're going to find out tonight how Joseph, first of all, what were the issues and how he was able to overcome by the power of faith. But before that, I have the story of this young lady. Her name is Crystal. And she also had some problems, serious ones, but learning how to use this power I'm talking about made all the difference for her. I am certain her story will inspire you who also want to see positive changes in your life and wants to discover how to do it. Let's see how faith helped her.
Well, my life before was an absolute mess. You know, before finding faith, I grew up in an environment that was very drug and crime related. So everything that I saw and the people that I dealt with, my mum, my family, were all heavily involved in that life. And it sort of was the only life that I knew. Even though that's not what I wanted, I knew that's never the road that I wanted to take, but it was the only one I knew. The worst moment of my life, I could say, was when my mum started losing her clients, her contacts, and so consequently she started losing a lot of money. And it became so bad to the point where we couldn't even afford to buy milk. We were going to my grandma's house for food. It was disastrous, and I was not used to that. You know, I grew up being the girl that would always be after school buying everyone sweets because I had loads of money. You know, money wasn't a problem for me then. But then at this point, everything became scarce. No money for anything. So that was the lowest point. After finding faith, me, my mom and my sister, we really learned how to use it to advantage. So we used it to find like where my mom was really heavily reliant on the income of her criminal life and stuff like that. She learned how to use faith to get a job, to start the school, which she stopped so many years ago. And things started moving forward. She got a job, she got a really good job, she used her faith in that. And same with us, we used our faith in our careers in school. And then now it's a lot different. My life today is brilliant, you know. I have hope, I have prospects, I have a future, I'm getting married soon, I have a good job. I no longer rely on sort of the criminal activities of my family to support me. I'm supporting myself. And it's such a contrast and different to the life that I had before, where it was really criminal based, so much wrong and negativity, as opposed to today, really positive, moving forward and really looking forward to the future.
So you see that faith is such an amazing power, and God is such an amazing God that it doesn't matter what a person may have done in their past, what they've been through, or how you could say, to use a term that is a little bit religious, but such a sinner, you know, if you think you're a terrible sinner, actually this becomes something that makes God even more excited about, because the harder the case for God, the greater the glory when things change. You see Crystal, who was involved even in wrong things and someone with a lot of problem, but from the moment she decided to learn about this power, everything changed. We're talking about a young lady who has a successful career, who is about to get married. I know her personally. Her husband-to-be is also a person of faith, and they are growing together. Two young people who could be on the wrong side of life, but faith brought them to a very positive route. And it's the same that can happen to you. So if you sincerely want to change, if you want to discover how to use this power, our advisors are already here standing by to take your call at this time. 0207-686-6300. You can take note of this number any given time during the show. If you want to call for prayer, you want to call for advice, so feel free to do it right now. Alternatively, you can also send us an email. This is Finding Answers email address, help@findinganswers.tv. Send us your question, your prayer request, your comments. We'll be replying to you as soon as possible. This evening we have Lisa also with us. Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening.
So our topic is about the need to also listen. And I would like to listen to your thoughts about tonight's topic.
Thank you very much. Yes, we need to truly listen to each other, and I think it's an art form that is beginning to be lost in today's society. Listening is one of the most important skills that you can have, and how well you listen can have a major impact on your job and on the quality of your relationships. For example, we need to listen in order to take in information, we need to listen in order to understand, and we need to listen for enjoyment and also to learn. So given all this listening that we do, you would think we'd be good at it. But in fact, most of us are not, and research suggests that we remember between 25% and 50% of what we actually hear. So we're not really taking in and taking into consideration what the other person is really saying. So that means when you talk to your boss, your colleagues, your customers, or your partner for 10 minutes, they pay attention to less than half of the actual conversation. Listening is all about self-awareness. And it's not just about being polite, it means a great deal and of value to the listener. and you can get a lot done. And also great leaders, coaches and people in position of power of helping people have to be great listeners. That's how you win people over. That's how, you know, you make good friends. It's all about listening to what the other person has to say. And I think that's, in today's society, it's actually something that is continuing to be lost. It's being lost in our culture.
Yeah, you know, actually also, one huge issue in communication is when people assume they understood what the speaker is saying, but sometimes we get a very different idea. You know, communication is a very complicated thing. And we have to become good at it. You know, it's important for marriage, it's important for our career, it's important for our relationship with God. I was getting some information once about a scientist, and interesting, he dedicated many years of his life to study marriages, decades following, you know, studying certain couples, and he found out that a majority of the couples who were able to remain married and happily married, when one said something that was like, you could say like a criticism, or you know, disagreeing with the other, another point of view, the listening one didn't take that as a personal attack, as an offense, but instead said, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about it. What do you mean? Okay, so what I understood was this and this and this. Is that what you really mean? In other words, this is an amazing thing. And if people, I believe, if they would spend more time to invest in improving communication, because talking is also an important part of it, of course, but listening and getting the message right. Sometimes we pay attention to the way the message is being given, when in fact it's the message itself that matters. We shouldn't take we shouldn't be so easily offended, because sometimes someone is conveying a message with strength, like a coach. You know, he's seen that the player can do better, so he's gonna say it out loud. He's go there and do this. But the player has to get that in the sense more, okay, what is he telling me to do? He can say, oh, you know, how he couldn't be all offended, because it's gonna affect him for the worse, when actually that message is being for the better. So I think it's a really important topic we're talking about tonight. That could be the root, Lisa, of people who are watching us with marital problems, career problems, relationship problems. This could be very much the issue.
Yeah, communication is the key to breaking down a lot of barriers. And talking, yes, is our #1 form of communication. We need to talk in order to interact. However, it is 10% of what you say, 30% tone of voice, and 60% body language that is actually interpreted when we are communicating with each other. So it's only 10% of what you're actually saying. So in order to be a bit more open, we need to listen to the overall objective of what someone is saying. And also, yes, we have 2 ears, but we don't have ears in order just to listen. We need to listen with our ears, with our eyes, and with a sense of empathy from our heart, as cheesy as it may sound. But we need all of these in order to, you know, just to understand a person's different viewpoint and to take into consideration. That's effective communication.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Sometimes the words are coming out one way, but the body language is expressing the very opposite.
Yeah.
So this is it. Do you want to improve these skills? Could this be the issue or a part of the issue that you are having right now? So if you feel that this connects with you, that this, you know, is hitting a nerve, it's pertinent to what you're going through, and you would like to get some help, once again, we would love to hear from you. Give us a call. How can you improve your communication skills? How can you become a better listener? How can that affect your life in a better way? How can you listen also, as Lisa was saying, you know, also with your eyes? You know, being more sensitive to what your partner is going through, which is something fundamental. I think one of the most beautiful things in marriage is this: as we get to know each other better, sometimes no words need to be spoken, just the look or just an expression already says more even than words. Anyhow, once again, we would love to hear from you. The number to call is 0207 686 6300. We're going to go to a break now. We have the opinion that Christy collected from the people in the streets of London, and still I'm going to speak to Joseph, someone who is going through problems here, and he's going to tell us what problems and how he overcame them through the power of faith. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away, and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered, and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. A Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
The UCKG Helpline Call Centre is open 24 hours a day, every day of the week, all year round. If you need help due to a serious problem you may be going through, if you feel that you have nowhere to turn to and desperately need someone to lend a listening ear, then we can help you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done, your religion or race, your call will be answered by someone who genuinely cares about you and has your best interests at heart. We also arrange home visits for the housebound and hospital visits for anyone in great need of kindly human contact. Whether it is simply information you want or desperately need someone to talk to, we're here for you on 0207 686 6000.
I used to suffer from really, really bad migraine headaches. I was very depressed. I didn't see much point in living, and I used to constantly go to see clairvoyants. In the end, I became addicted to the tarot card readings because I was always hoping that they would tell me something positive, but a lot of the time they kept telling me that somebody was going to die in my family, and you know, I never heard what I really wanted to hear, but I just kept going back with that hope that one day I will hear exactly what I want to hear when they open the cards. So things weren't getting any better. But one day someone invited me to come to the spiritual cleansing therapy sessions, and in the spiritual cleansing therapy sessions I began to learn what to do, you know, how to stop all the negativity that was surrounding my life, because I felt like there was a heavy cloud around me. And through the sessions it's like that cloud started to lift, the depression started to go, the migraine headaches stopped, I stopped crying every night, I stopped feeling suicidal. And things just changed around, and today I don't have any of those problems anymore. I'm happy, I'm not depressed, I don't have headaches, I don't need to go to see a clairvoyant now because I'm really happy with my life and I have so much hope for my future.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers, where tonight we're asking about, do you communicate effectively, and why we need to truly listen in life. So people tend to trust those more who listen more, and this is because they feel that the person who is listening is not attacking them. Listening is also a good way to support other people, especially through traumatic experiences. So what do you feel about listening? Do you need to listen more? We sent Kirsty out to the streets of London to find out their opinions.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi everyone, it's Krista here on Finding Answers, and tonight's topic is why we need to truly listen. We all have 2 ears and 1 mouth, which could indicate that we should all listen twice as much than we speak. However, why is it that people are still not listening to those around them as much as they should? Well, let's see what the public have to say. Do you think people speak more than they listen?
I think a lot of people speak more than they listen, and they should. I mean, if we should listen more, that means other people are speaking more. It's just an ongoing cycle. But I mean, if advice is given, sometimes you should just listen and not. I mean, the more you talk, the more you're not understanding anything. You know, you just yeah.
It depends who they are. I think for what I'm studying, we were talking about it, that I've learned to listen more. So, you can change as well. You can change.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. I think it depends, A, on the person and B, on the situation. I mean, there are certain situations where you need to speak more than you need to listen and vice versa. So, yeah, I think it changes.
I think that it depends on how mature people are. People that are not mature tend to not to listen that much, or just think that they listen, but actually I think it's very difficult for anybody to actually listen to what the other person is saying, because it depends on so many things, as how, if you understand that person, first of all, for many reasons, because, your influences are going to be different. Even language-wise, the same word can mean a lot of different things for different people. So I think it is very difficult to do that. And in general, people talk a bit more than listen, I would say.
So very interesting opinions from people in the streets of London, which actually brings another issue when it comes to listening. What or who should we listen to? I would say we should not listen to negative voices, especially if we want to get closer to God. You can go through the entire Bible, you are not going to see God saying anything negative. See God as one of the most encouraging beings that exist. I can recall one instance when there was a storm, a terrible storm. The disciples of Jesus were caught by surprise. They were on the boat and the storm was so bad they were thinking they were going to die. And suddenly Jesus comes to meet them. He was walking on the water. It's a very famous scripture. And first they thought he was a ghost, and they started to get even more frightened. Jesus said, "Do not worry, it's me." And then Peter, one of his disciples, was bold enough to say, "If it's really you, then I want to meet you on the waters. I want to walk on the waters just like you're doing." And in that moment, I don't see Jesus saying, "Oh, listen, no, wait, listen, I'm God, I'm the Son of God. You're not like me, Peter, be careful." No, the only word that came out of his mouth was, "Come." So you see, it's an encouragement. And actually, while Peter was believing and using his faith, looking at Jesus, he was able to take some steps on the water. When he shifted focus to the waves and the wind, that's when things began to go awry for him. But whilst he was focused in looking at Jesus, listening to the word "come," he was able to do. So whatever you want to achieve, giving it's positive, giving it's good for your life, healthy, something that will lead you to prosperity, to happiness in life and marriage, the word that Jesus gives you is go ahead, as he gave that go ahead to Peter. So don't listen to what is negative. Don't listen to negative thoughts. We also listen with our minds. we listen to thoughts. Which thoughts that you have become actions? Should you start changing that? Maybe not listening to some and start listening to other different thoughts? Well, once again, our phone number 0207-686-6300. Call now. Include your name in prayer, your family's name for prayer, your doubts, your questions. Talk to an advisor, all right, if you would like to learn more about this, why we need to truly listen. Well, actually, I have here now our guest, Joseph, who is going to explain to us what was going on in his life and how he was able to overcome by using the power of faith.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Okay, Joseph, now talking to you again. Tell us, how did the problems begin? How did everything begin with you?
Okay, so growing up, I would say very, very early stages. I came from a good background, a good home, I believe. And I had one older brother and two older sisters. There was 4 of us in a household. And growing up, I was actually an active listener. I was very well behaved. I always had positive influence around me. And I'd always kind of absorb what was told to me at home and kind of implement it in my early school years. And growing up, I was doing extremely well. I was doing better than my, of course, not to discredit them, but I was doing much better than my older siblings, than what they was doing in school. And yeah, I mean, that's how things started out for me. However, I started to...
Sorry, so evidently we can see you were someone with a lot of potential.
Yeah,
right, to make a difference, to do great in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was someone that was, I really, really valued what was being said to me. And everything my mum, my dad would tell me, I'll chew up. And I'd accept that. I believed that no matter what, they could tell me that the sky was red, and I would believe that the sky was red, because I believed in those words. And that's the type of person that I was growing up. Very, very good listener. I was very, very polite, very, very respectful, and I really did believe that the advice that they was giving me at the time would help me for my future. Now, this was all because I can say I was almost around a hedge. A lot of the people that I was surrounded by were good people. Everybody that was around me was good people, so the advice that I would hear would be good advice. The kind of things that we would be talking about would be good things, practical things on how I can improve, on how I can be better. So I had never stepped out of that hedge to kind of see what the real world was like as such. So I went to a school, I went to a secondary school. I got to a secondary school which in turn wasn't the greatest school in the area. Now, when I went to that school, I started to meet a lot of new people. I started off really, really well. I was still going on the right path, the right track, but I started to meet a lot of people that were different, a lot of people who had different views, who had come from backgrounds that had different opinions, different cultures, different beliefs. And because I was exposed to that, I started to say, well, hang on a minute, this isn't what I'm learning at home. How comes you get to... I started to almost be a little bit envious of what they used to be, to get away with. So I
Things like what?
So for example, some at a young age, 12, 13-year-olds, some parents wouldn't call them if they was out late until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, but I would be called as soon as I was expected to be home by a certain time. I'd have a curfew, very, very strict curfew. I had a bedtime, and it was getting to the stages where nobody in my year group had a bedtime. So there was a lot of things that was happening, little examples like that started to kind of click in my head as to make me a little bit envious of everybody else, to say, well, why can't my parents be like that? Why can't the people who are telling me this, what I should and shouldn't do, be like your parents? One particular advice would be directly regarding education, actually focusing on my studies, actually listening in class and not getting distracted by my friends. And as I started to gain a little bit more popularity in school, that's what started to kind of ooze into my life. I started to be a lot more distracted in class. I started to speak a lot, and at home it was the same advice, but I interpreted it different. And it would be, for example, they would tell me, look, make sure you're studying hard, make sure you're picking up your books and reading them so that you can pass your GCSEs, so that you can do well. And they would tell me all the knock-on effects of what I would do, doing well, just as they would before. However, because I started to feel as though, well, now I'm becoming my own man, I'm having my own opinions, why should I listen to you as such? I know what I'm doing. I didn't like the idea of being controlled. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I started to kind of neglect that advice, and I started to take it in a negative light, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You came from a different time, you came from a different culture, times have changed. I am able to screw around in class and still pass my...
So you thought that a lot of those principles were like old school, and,
yeah, exactly,
my parents are in the past, they're not from the same generation. Yeah. It's an interesting thing, because that's a point of view. And I'm not going to say that is wrong or right. I'm just going to bring one fact up. We used to live 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago in a society where it was much safer. As children were more respectful to their parents. They had very good results in school. We didn't have that drug problem, that alcohol problem, that violence. I mean, it was there, but nothing compared to what it is now. We could say marriages lasted longer. The divorce rate was way less than it is today. We were living in a safer, happier world, to my point of view. So this is just one point of view to share here. Just listen, think about it, because I believe also, Joseph, we always have to set boundaries, right? Of course, it's great to know new people, make new friendships, but still we have to be careful to what we listen to.
Exactly.
You were listening to your parents. From what I get, even though they taught you in this discipline, strict discipline, but it was good because you were not getting into trouble, you were doing well in school, you were developing your potential while you were listening to them. Suddenly you start to listen to other voices and other opinions, but this ended up not being very good for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you should say that. I wouldn't say I stopped listening as an individual, but who I listened to was starting to change. My influences started to change. Right. And I think that was the key thing, because we always listen. We always listen, but it's what are we listening to, and what's actually got that power of influence over us. So from growing up, from listening to my parents, as you said, in that strict manner, I was doing well. But then when I started to come into my own and start growing older and starting to think that I was in control of my life, I kind of stopped, I kind of shifted my focus away from them and started listening to the bad influences at class. Oh, it's not that serious. There's a quote now that everybody's saying, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. It's no big deal. You can mess around and still pass. In fact, the school that I went to, there was a particular teacher who head of year, in fact, this is just the kind of environment that we had, who said, you can fail your GCSEs, it's fine. I failed my GCSEs, and look, I'm a teacher. So I shifted my focus and started listening. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so it's no big deal. Whereas coming from a background where my parents made it, look, they were adamant, you cannot fail your GCSEs. It can have a detrimental impact on your future. However, hearing that from a teacher, an example as such, or the head of the year, was almost a curveball for me to say, oh, well, my teacher thinks that it doesn't matter, so, well, Why should it matter?
In other words, it was not in the sense of relieving the pressure of, okay, if I fail, I can get another chance. It was not in that way, but more in the sense of making you complacent.
Exactly.
About, okay, why care? Why even bother, right?
Exactly.
Joseph, we have to go to a break now. I know the situation got worse than that.
Yeah, much worse.
He's going to talk to us about the worst point and also how he overcame after this. But remember, prepare, if you want, a glass with water. I have mine here. We're going to be praying for you towards the end of the program. If you need strength, maybe there's no peace in your life right now. You go to work, you go to school, people think, you have all figured out. They go to you for help, maybe because you put up a front. You have this facade that everything is okay, but deep within yourself, things are not doing well at all, and you want to get help. So pray with us, remain with us, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Finding Answers.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Monday, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesday, prayers for healing. Wednesday, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursday, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturday, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sunday, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength. The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier?
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
You are back with Finding Answers, and our topic tonight is why we need to truly listen. And I'm speaking to Joseph here. He's talking to us about the issues he was going through. So Joseph, tell us about when this, as you said, interesting. It's not that you stopped listening to people, you just changed the people that you you decided to listen to.
Exactly.
So besides your jeopardizing your performance in school, right, and problems with your parents because you're not listening anymore, in what other ways did that shift of focus change you?
Things started to take a turn for the worst, to be honest, because I had a few bad experiences from even listening to friends, and I started to see that it was having that bad effect with my relationship with my parents, on how I was dealing with them and responding to them. But then I started to listen to myself, and listening to the negative voices that would come to me. So a lot of negative voices would come to my head, negative ideas.
Telling you what? What were these ideas?
Just hating my father, hating my dad. I started to listen to the voices that would tell me that they have something against me. I'm the youngest, so they're putting even more pressure on me because all the others had failed. I started to build up a lot of ideas that didn't exist. So I just started to kind of seclude myself away from my parents, and it started to isolated myself inside of my home. I wouldn't listen to them at all, and it caused fights, it caused arguments. I was very, very rude. I would talk back. And it turned into a thing of where I started to do my own thing. Started talking to girls and started to manipulate them. I acquired an addiction to pornography. At the time, I started to find myself doing those things because all of these negative voices that would come, these negative ideas, oh, why don't you do this? Oh, it's just for fun. It's not that serious, as I said earlier, and it's not that deep. Everybody does it. And I would start listening to all of these things, and because I would not listen to the positive influences anymore, and I had so much negative influence coming from myself and coming from the people around me, my life just kept on progressively getting worse, getting worse, getting worse. And what people fail to realize is that, because I was still fairly young at the time, and what people fail to realize how big the impact is of that short period of time between the ages of 12 to 16, how short that time is, but how much of a great impact it can have in your future. And it can be, oh, you're young, you can do whatever you want, live life, enjoy life, do whatever you want. And those ideas I would embrace. People embrace, oh yeah, I'm only young, I can think about what I want to be when I'm older. I can take my life serious when I'm older, when I'm 30, when I'm this, that's when I'll settle down, when I'll relax and calm down and have my life set. When in actual fact, that is the time where I needed to be molded to actually think, what do I want for my life? Yeah. What do I need to do? That was the perfect time to set myself up in life. Perfect.
Absolutely, because if we want to get to a certain point and be able to change, we cannot change from that point. Right? There's a teaching, there's a law, and it's a law of nature created by God. You reap what you sow. You are reaping, viewer, today what you have sown yesterday and before. Tomorrow you are going to be reaping what you sow today. So if we sow what is right, we see positive results. If we sow what is wrong, we see negative results, and there's nothing that can change that. But in your situation, Joseph, you know, because I know now that you are a person of faith. Yeah. At some point, something must have happened to make you, you know, like the penny dropped and say, well, I'm really lost. I'm going downhill. Where's that young man who is, you know, living to the fullest and developing my potential? Something had to make you listen to some other kind of voice. What brought you to that point?
Okay, so it was my final year at school, and it was results day. Everybody had to go and pick up the results. So there was a group of us that were clowns as such, the class clowns, the jokers, the naughty kids, who we went and collected our results. And believe it or not, a lot of them, the ones that would influence me, got better grades, much better grades than me, because I believed that, I thought that we was joking around in class and we would continue the jokes at home in our private time and not listen and do what we want, when in actual fact they were joking around in class, but when it came to actually studying and prioritizing what they needed to do, they was doing that. But they never ever told me they was doing that. So when I saw that they had passed with flying colors and I had failed miserably, I started to think. That's when I started to think a little bit. That's when the thought process started to come. I started to think, okay, wow, okay, so this person done good, this person done good. I did so bad. And what really hurt, what broke my heart, because I really, really love my mum. I really had, and I loved her to bits then as well. Even though we argued, even though we did, I had so much love for her because I knew it came from a good place. And to go back and tell her that I failed, because she came from a different country, she struggled. We watched her struggle. We watched her build everything that we had at that particular time growing up. And for me to kind of go back and tell her, I knew I was throwing everything that she done back in her face. Because, as I said, not to discredit my older siblings, but they didn't do as well in school. And I was almost as such the last hope in that area. And when I went back and told her, I saw the disgust in her eyes, as if she didn't even know who I was. And she couldn't even deal with me. She just sent me to go and speak to my uncle. She couldn't even speak to me on that day when I told her. And I just remember sitting there alone, and I just thought to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And because I was thinking about that thinking about that started to lead me to think about all the other things that started to affect me in my life. How I was behaving at home, how I was watching a lot of things that I shouldn't have been watching, how I started doing things that I shouldn't have been doing at my age. So I started to think about everything. I spent a long time thinking about it. And coincidentally, at the same time when these thought processes started happening, I had a friend who was going to a youth group who invited me there. He used to always invite us, and I'd just be like, I'm not interested. That's what you want to do. That's absolutely fine. Just leave me be. But then I decided to go, and because I was playing football, so I was playing football with them, and I started to realize that these people were popular as well, but they were popular in a positive way, in a very, very positive way. One of them was the young mayor of Lewisham at the time. A lot of them was doing a lot of things with their life. And I saw, okay, wow, okay. So I already started to see a kind of a different environment with these young people. And they spent time with me, talking to me, explaining, showing me that my life could change, showing me that my relationship at home could be better, showing me that I could overcome my addiction, showing me that I can turn my life around with regards to my education and everything as a whole. And so I started to attend, I started to go, and every single time I would hear a message, every single time I'd receive an advice, I knew 100% that it was God speaking to me. It was such positive influence. It was just coming from a place that it could not have come from anywhere else other than God. So every time they would tell me to do something, I believed it, and I took it with full force, and I started to implement myself. I started to act on everything that they would tell me to do. I started to act on the things that I was hearing, and they showed me many things in the Bible that we would spend time going through, showing me how to become a better man, how to become, and I say man because even though I was young, it doesn't stop me from being a man. It didn't stop me from making responsible decisions that will allow me to be better, to be mature. So I started to implement myself. I started to commit myself to these things. And as I started to commit myself, things started to change. How I would behave at home started to change. How I would receive the messages that I would receive from my parents was in a sense going back to how it was when I was a child. I would listen to what they had to say, and I started to realize the problem wasn't what they were saying to me. The problem was never really what they were saying to me. The problem was how I was always interpreting it, how I was taking it in. And I realized that the problem wasn't with them, the problem was with me, was within me. So it took a little while for me to build that trust up naturally. However, I started to show to them, look, I am a different person. It took me a while, again, convincing them, look, I am a very different person. They had to see it to believe it, in a sense. So I went back to college. I done really well in college. I had to repeat a year because of that. It delayed my success. However, I didn't let that kind of put me off. I didn't let that slow me down. So I went back to college and I kept on doing really well. Again, going to the youth group, receiving the messages, implementing it inside of my life. I started going to the church, and it was just an environment that I needed to be in.
And Joseph, how old are you today?
23 now.
23 now. How old were you when you started this process of change?
17.
So
17.
Took a while, right?
Yeah.
But at the age of 23, I know that you are now working with a good position in a prominent financial institution.
Yeah.
You are in a serious relationship with someone, right?
So,
to be married soon.
Yeah.
You have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
A confident. Did you forgive your dad?
Absolutely, 100%.
You are no longer watching pornography. That's not an issue anymore.
No.
I believe you are a reason of pride to your mom today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I finished. So far, I say, because my other siblings are doing university as well. I'm the only one that's graduated from university. I'm the youngest by like 5 years. So, and one of the greatest feelings was on the day of my graduation. When I saw my mum cry, I really understood how and what it really meant for her, for me to come to where I am today. And it was just bliss.
Very good. So thanks for coming. Congratulations on this change, right? Yeah. Hope next time you come here, will be your wife at the time, okay, to testify of greater things.
Yeah.
Very good. So this is it. He thought, he took action. That's what we encourage you to do. Are you unhappy? Are you frustrated? Are you dissatisfied with what you're seeing? Think about, should you continue going on this way? Or should you give yourself a chance for change? If you want change, once again, 0207-686-6300. The number appears on your screen. Give us a call now. Do not postpone the beginning of the change. The sooner, the better. It's a decision that only you can make. It's totally your call, literally. Well, we'll come back later with a prayer. Don't forget, prepare your glass of water. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back with more Finding Answers.
Uplifting.
Exciting.
Diverse.
Informative.
Courageous.
Bold.
Passionate.
Powerful.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort and homework from you.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. This is our last segment, but you see, the story of Joseph only goes to show that if we learn how to use this power called faith, it will forever change us for the better. Faith is a positive power, not a negative one. And it's a power that you have in you. It's not something that is outside, something you need to buy, something you need to acquire. It's already in there. You just have to learn to awaken this power within you and everything will change. Well, we're going to join our faith now to pray for you, okay? We're going to pray together. Do you have your glass with water? Grab a hold of it now because it's the moment of prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer concerning your family and loved ones, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
God, right now, we pray on behalf of all viewers, especially those who are at this point feeling they have reached the end of their rope, can't go down anymore, feeling lost, feeling that maybe even life doesn't have any meaning anymore. But I know that things can change for this person, but they have to know too. God, faith is a revelation from your Spirit to us, so I pray that your Spirit may reveal faith to this viewer. I might be crying right now, that the only things that are increasing for this viewer are the problems, the issues, the tears, the pain, the suffering. Please, God, answer our prayer. Help this person, regardless of what they've done, wherever they may be. Let your power touch them. I pray for all those who called us, those who sent us an email. We include them in this prayer. We bless this glass of water so when this person drinks, they will be energized by your power. This is what we determine in the name of Jesus Christ. And if you agree, just say amen. Drink the water now. Be blessed. Very good. This was a short prayer, but I want to challenge you to believe that wherever you are, the power of God has reached you, and that this night will be a good night. You're going to have peace. This weekend will be good, will be positive if you believe. Do you believe? So it will come to you. It was a great pleasure being with you up to now. And remember, next Monday again, here at the same time, we are going to be continuing with this new version of Finding Answers. We have a lot of exciting material to show. So have a wonderful night. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye.